C5 Insight is a Microsoft Solutions partner, helping organizations succeed in the AI era.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another C5 Insight webinar on the State of Copilot. My name is Haley Batchican, and I'll be your webinar moderator today. Time permitting, we're going to be hosting Q&A at the end. There is a Q&A icon at the top of Teams if you'd like to submit any questions as we go through today's content. And we have a lot to discuss, including what's new, what's next, and what you're probably missing with Microsoft 365 Copilot. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our speakers, Tracy Winter, who is the Senior Director of Business Consulting here at C5 Insight, and Sharon Stevens, who is an Account Manager here at C5, who is currently having some technical difficulties, but she should be joining us shortly.
Fantastic. Thanks, Haley. And I see that Sharon's joining, but she's having some power issues. So I'm going to get us started. And if she's able to join and go through, then we'll let her take it over. But so I really wanted to kick us off and just say the reason why we put this briefing together, and there's Sharon, is Copilot is moving super fast. If you're like a lot of our clients and teams we talk with, it can feel very weak. There is a new feature, or feel very like every week there's a new feature, a new agent, new roadmap announcement, or even a new term to keep up with. So today, our goal is to make that practical. We're not going to walk through a list of features. We're going to talk about what's actually available now, what's coming next, and where organizations may have some value sitting in their environment that they're not even using yet. So I'm going to pass it over to Sharon to take over, and she'll get us started on the conversation today.
All right. So this is the roadmap for our time together here. We're going to break it down into three main parts. First, we're going to cover what is new. These are going to be capabilities that are generally available today. So if you already have Copilot, some of these may be things that you can start exploring right away. Then we'll move into what's next. This is going to be the frontier previews and roadmap items that give us a sense of where Microsoft is taking Copilot. And then lastly, we'll close with what now? Because ultimately the question is not just what can Copilot do, it's what should we do with this information within the organization. You'll also see on some of the slides, there'll be a often missed component. This is a call out throughout the deck, and it shows often areas and capabilities that we see clients have, but they don't really use too often. So I will flag those within the slides, but just to have an eye out for them in the top right-hand corner of those slides. All right. So to go ahead and hop on in, quick background on C5 Insight and our position within the conversation. We are a business-first, people-centric, AI-driven digital transformation consultancy and a trusted Microsoft Cloud Solutions partner. I know that was a lot of adjectives. What it means in real life is that we're not looking at Copilot as a standalone tool. We're looking at it in the context of how people actually work across Microsoft Dynamics, Power Platform, and everything else Microsoft ecosystem focused. That last piece is really important. The technology matters, but it only creates value if people use it, trust it, and understand where it fits within their day-to-day work. So when we talked with clients about Copilot, we're usually not starting with, here's this new shiny feature. We're starting with questions like, where are the slowdowns? What's wasting time? Where are you getting stuck? And that's the lens that we'll use for today when looking at these features within Copilot. So if we want to go ahead and move on forward. So this slide really goes through the shift that we're seeing happen within the Copilot space. We're moving from siloed data into an integrated intelligence. Historically, work has been scattered across email, CRM, SharePoint, and Excel spreadsheets, just to name a few. Copilot is starting to connect those dots so people can reason across that work, not just search through the files. We're also moving from an AI assistant to an AI doer. So early AI helped us draft, summarize, and such. Now we're getting closer to actioning having it do complete steps and move that work forward. That third shift is from app-centric work to connected system of work. Real work doesn't usually happen within one app. A customer conversation might start within Teams, move to Outlook, show up in CRM, proposals created in Word, then PowerPoint for leadership. Copilot is becoming more valuable as it moves across those flows. And finally, we're moving from manual coordination to human agent collaboration. So the human in the loop sort of feel. That does not mean humans disappear within the process. We're still there. It means we start using AI to reduce the coordination burden that we feel within our jobs sometimes. That's why Copilot is different from the general AI chatbot. It's designed to work inside the Microsoft ecosystem where work is directly happening. So with the big picture in mind, let's start with what's generally available today. This first section is, of course, focused on what's new and generally available within 2026. So we'll go through the next slides. I can encourage you to think about two things as I go through these. First, which of these capabilities could help your team right away? And then second, which ones might already be included in your current Copilot investment, but you aren't already using? So the one is missed component. So let's start with the bigger platform shift, the multimodal intelligence. One of the most important shifts in Copilot is becoming more of a platform for model choice. Not every AI model is equally good for every task. Some models are better for deep reasoning, while others are a little bit better for structured analysis. So instead of thinking, which one model am I going to use for everything? Like, what is my model? The better question becomes, what's the right model for this specific job? Copilot is moving in the direction by supporting access to different leading models, including OpenAI and Anthropic Claude models, among many others, with admins controlling what is available and how it is used. So there still is that governance piece to this feature. For business users, the benefit is better output and less effort. For the account manager lens that I sit in, this is a big deal. When I'm working with a client, there's a difference between drafting a follow-up email and analyzing pipeline risk. Those are different jobs, and that may need different AI strengths. The takeaway here is simple. Model choice is not just a technical feature, it's a business advantage. Now let's talk about one of the capabilities I think is really practical, but often never used. That's going to be Copilot Notebooks. So this is going to be one of those often missed ones that you can see that flag in the top right corner. I want to spend a little time on it for this one. So Copilot Notebooks are AI-powered workspaces where you can bring together the context. That could include Teams meetings, SharePoint content, OneNote notes from traditional OneNote, individual files, and other references within there. The key point is that Copilot is not just about just going out to the web and bringing you those generic answers. It's grounded in the content you intentionally added to that notebook as resources, so you can limit it to some extent. For a customer-facing role, for me, this is really useful. Imagine having a notebook for a strategic initiative. You can have the relevant files, meetings, notes, and decisions all in one place, and then you can ask Copilot to then action on all of those resources. And because notebooks can be shared, this can be a team workspace instead of just one person's private notes hidden somewhere. We're going to play a short demo so you can see what that looks like.
Here's how you can collect everything related to a project in one place and get focused answers with notebooks in Microsoft 365 Copilot. Navigate to Notebooks and select the plus icon to create a new notebook. Give it a clear name that reflects what you're working on. Next, add reference files to ground your notebook. These are the documents and content Copilot will use to reason and respond. Then select Create. Copilot creates a notebook with three main areas: references on the left, an overview in the center, and chat on the right. The overview summarizes what's inside and highlights key insights. As you add more references, this view updates to help you decide where to focus next. Use the left pane to browse your references. You can add more, open content, or remove references at any time. Select Quick Create to generate new content based on your notebook, like an audio overview or a study guide. Everything you create stays grounded in your references. In the chat pane, ask Copilot questions about your content. Choose a suggested prompt or write your own. Copilot responds using only the information in your notebook. Use the drop-down menu at the top of the pane to view your chat history. When you're ready to collaborate, select Invite and Manage Members to share the notebook. Everyone you invite gets access to the notebook and references, while your chats and audio overviews remain private to you.
All right, what I want you to take away from that video is that the Notebooks app helps solve a very common problem. We have the information, but it's kind of scattered everywhere, and it just needs that collection component. Notebooks from Copilot reason across your work. The next step is Copilot actually working inside the files themselves. So agent mode in Office is another important shift. When Copilot first came out, a lot of the experience was more conversational. That was helpful at the time, but it still often left the user doing the actual work of editing and formatting. Agent mode within these Microsoft apps moves Copilot closer to being a true collaborator inside Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. In Word, it can help draft, rewrite, restructure, and tune content for the right resource. In Excel, it can help explore data, build analysis, explain what's happening, and make changes directly within the workbook. And in PowerPoint, it can help update or create presentations while respecting templates and helping shape the story. An example that I used actually yesterday was I asked Copilot in PowerPoint to remove all of the footers that had a per slide designation at the bottom, so like the ones that we have within our presentation here. And then I also wanted to make sure that all the fonts within the whole presentation were the same. So I was able to do that in a prompt. It could do it while I was editing other slides, and I didn't have to click through each box and make sure all of them were Roboto. So for anyone who has ever had to turn those rough notes into client-ready documents or update a presentation right before you meet with the client, this is where the value really becomes very easy to understand that you can operate in this faster process. So this is also another often missed area. With Microsoft Copilot, there are Microsoft built agents already available within all agents, or you can also tap that symbol within chat and you'll see those agents pop up. A lot of people have heard about Researcher and Analyst. Researcher, of course, is designed for more complex multi-step research and can produce a structured, source-cited report. Analyst is focused on tuning that raw data into insights. But I don't want people to skip over the Coach collection of agents because those can really be useful for that everyday adoption. My personal favorite is Prompt Coach. It helps people ask better questions and get better results. This matters because a lot of Copilot frustration comes from those vague prompts where you just get a spit out answer and you're like, this isn't right. And then you just go do it yourself. The Prompt Coach mitigates that. The other one is Writing Coach. This can polish your tone, clarity, grammar, and style. The Idea Coach can help structure brainstorming and turn early ideas into something more actionable. Learning Coach can help someone build a plan and understand a new topic or skill. From an adoption standpoint, these agents are helpful because they meet users where they are. Not everyone starts as a power user. Sometimes people need guidance, examples, and confidence. The coach agents in a collection can help with that. These are also a large benefit of Copilot. These agents are already built by Microsoft, so there's no extra development needed within leveraging these. And if the built-in agents don't quite fit your process, Microsoft is also making it easier to build on your own. So that's Agent Builder. Agent Builder lets users create custom agents in Copilot using natural language without writing the code. That is a big deal because it opens up agent creation to business teams, not just developers. You can define what the agent should do, specify the knowledge sources it should use, test it, and publish it to a team, or submit the agent to the store for admin approval. The practical use cases are pretty easy to imagine here with that custom component. You could have an onboarding agent that helps new employees find team-specific information. You could have a proposal support agent that helps generate the first draft using approved content. You could have a product launch message agent that helps messaging align to the brand and the strategy in an overarching sense. The thing I would emphasize here is, that it's just because you can build the agent doesn't mean every team should build 10 of them tomorrow. The best agents are tied to a clear business process, a trusted knowledge source, and a real pain point. So the question to ask is, where do we repeatedly answer the same questions, recreate the same content, or search the same information? That is usually a good place to start when looking at custom agents for your organization. Now, let's explore some specific agents in more detail and some commonly used examples. So the first one we'll go through is going to be Sales Agent. Sales Agent is a conversational agent inside of Copilot that helps sellers work with data from CRM and their customer conversations. That means things like account summaries, meeting follow-ups, pipeline reviews, and relationship insights. The big value is that sellers can ask questions in natural language instead of digging through multiple systems or trying to figure out what advanced find matches what I'm trying to ask. So for example, you could ask it, get me the account summary for this customer, or organize open opportunities by close date. The other key point is security. CRM queries follow the user's existing access level, so people only see what they're allowed to see in a natural basis. Let's look at the overview video here for Sales Agent in action.
Let's check out Sales Home, a central place to access all your assistive AI experiences, bringing together chat and curated insights. This release has a focus on meeting prep. Sam is a busy sales rep who often runs multiple meetings with new and existing prospects. Here in Sales Home, she can immediately jump into the latest info on her upcoming meetings and prospects. There are some smart prompts, such as this one for relationship insights. And she can always use chat to ask for something specific. It looks like a simple chat, but behind it is an LLM that brings together data from M365, CRM, and other sources. This snapshot includes details for a meeting scheduled later today, and she can drill in to see more. She sees the expanded details enriched with insights from CRM and M365. She can explore the insights and look at their history. She can see recent customer communication, such as email and meetings, giving her full visibility into the history of the account. Wanting to know more, she uses Sales Chat to ask about other opportunities at Woodgrove. This side-by-side view lets her dig into specific content while still being able to access chat. She can also ask for information on key stakeholders within Woodgrove. It shows that one contact is less involved with the bank now, and identifies the owner as the key stakeholder, along with a summary and contact info. This precise answer comes from Sales Agent analyzing previous communication, meetings, and other data sources to identify the most influential decision makers at Woodgrove. Sales Home and Chat provides an AI interactive hub designed for sellers and enabled right inside of M365 Copilot. What are you waiting for? Try the latest sales experience now.
What I liked about that example is that it shows Copilot Sales Agent within the flow of selling of where you're going to possibly pull it in to help you with that. But of course, Sales Agent is one side of the customer experience. The next agent applies the same idea, but within the services terms. So the services agent is focused on customer service workflows. It can summarize customer service specific information like cases. It can search and synthesize from trusted sources like Dataverse, SharePoint, and Microsoft 365. And it can help with actions like updating cases, creating notes and activities, drafting customer communications, and recommending the best next steps. This is another often missed item because service teams often have a lot of information, but it's spread across systems and several different timelines sometimes. From a customer experience perspective, that matters. When someone contacts support, they don't want to repeat their story 5 times. They want the person helping them to understand the history, the context, and what should happen next. The service agent is designed to help with that. To help exemplify that, we got another video that will take you through what that's going to look like.
The clock starts the moment a customer reaches out. Every second a rep spends searching is a second that the customer spends waiting. Microsoft 365 Copilot and Dynamics 365 Customer Service gives that time back. Connecting conversations, bringing together knowledge, and enabling agent-driven productivity right where reps need it. With Service Agent built directly into the experience, reps get to work immediately, spending less time triaging and more time solving. With a single prompt, your cases are organized into a structured, sortable grid. Service Agent quickly surfaces what matters most, using priority and context. A case summary highlights the issue, current status, and recent interactions. So reps get up to speed fast, and case details are updated directly within Dynamics. Next, Service Agent searches across the knowledge base, Dynamics data, and Microsoft 365 sources like SharePoint documents to surface the right guidance instantly. From there, it drafts a clear, accurate customer response based on that context and guidance. So you can review it, send it, and move on. Along the way, service records are updated, case notes are added, and complex actions like child case creation are initiated, preserving full context and helping ensure every handoff is seamless. From triage to resolution, reps stay in the flow, and customers get answers faster. That's Microsoft 365 Copilot with Service Agent in Dynamics 365 Customer Service.
The takeaway here is that Copilot for Service Agent is not about personal productivity necessarily. It's more about moving into a role-based workflow. So these are agents that are for that specific workflow within there. So for services teams, this means faster case understanding, better knowledge discovery, and more consistent follow through that can have a direct impact on customer satisfaction. And then for leaders, this creates an opportunity to improve both consistency and productivity, as long as there's the right governance, knowledge sources, and processes already in place. Now let's look at a capability that starts to move Copilot even further from answering questions into executing. That is going to be another favorite of mine, and I know a favorite of Tracy's too, is Copilot Cowork. This is where the idea of delegation starts to become more real within the Copilot space. So instead of asking Copilot for one answer or one draft and keeping it at that and not asking it anything further within that chat, it's going to start thinking about those tasks. So like preparing for a customer meeting, creating a sales presentation, or triaging your inbox to just name a few of those more actionable things. Those are not always single-step tasks. They involve context, decisions, artifacts, and follow-up. Cowork can execute and complete real tasks across systems and apps while still keeping you in the loop. You can provide course correction at any point, which is important because this is not about giving up control. It's about delegating pieces of work while still guiding the outcome. This is an audio. There is audio within this demo coming up within this video. So I'm going to pause and then let that play.
To ship a new product, and you need a launch plan now. Let's use Copilot Cowork to build it. Cowork connects to Work IQ, so it understands your product, launch history, and where it fits in the market. A product launch is never just one deliverable. It's a competitive analysis, a messaging framework, a pitch deck, all moving at once. Cowork won't just respond, it orchestrates across your work streams. First, it builds a competitive analysis, complete with a head-to-head scorecard and strategic positioning. In a protected Excel file, it saves to OneDrive, so your team can jump right in. Then, it turns that strategy into clear, differentiated messaging, with a value prop document that makes the case for why you lead the market. And finally, it pulls it all together into a customer-ready PowerPoint deck, a coherent story you can walk into any room with confidence. This is Copilot Cowork, built for real work.
So what stands out to me with Cowork is it's built for real work, not just one-off prompts. So it's something that you can conversate with. It can break down complex requests into steps, reason across tools and files, show the progress, and give users opportunities to steer along the way. For an account manager, a very practical example is customer meeting prep. So instead of manual pulling CRM notes, recent emails, previous decks, having an internal sync call, I can delegate that to be a bigger job. I could have it help me prepare for that meeting, draft the follow-up, and organize the materials that I need within there, with still having me review them. That is the shift that's key here with Copilot Cowork. Cowork is moving from an answer this question to help me move this work forward. As agents become more capable, the natural next question is, how do we govern all of this? All right, so Agent 365, this one's going to be all about the governance of agents. So as organizations start using more agents, within all of the types of agents and Copilot that we have, they need a way to manage them like enterprise assets. Agent 365 is described as the control panel for agents as managed entities. That means organizations can register agents, manage access, visualize how they're being used, monitor the activity, and block agents from admin center when needed. This is really important because agent growth can get really messy really quickly if there's no governance model. From a business perspective, the question is not just, can we build an agent for that? It's who owns it, what data can it access, how can we use it, and how do we know it's accurate? The governance layer is what helps organizations scale agents responsibly instead of creating AI sprawl. So that wraps up the generally available sections. What I've covered a lot, like model choice, notebooks, agent mode in Office, built-in agents, and then the specific agents, along with the governance slide we're sitting on. Now I'll hand it over to Tracy to cover what is coming.
Fantastic. Thank you, Sharon. All right, so what's next? Now that Sharon has walked us through what's generally available today, I'm going to shift us into what's coming next. So I do want to frame this section carefully because I think this is where a lot of organizations are getting either really excited or really overwhelmed. The point is not to chase every preview feature, turn everything on tomorrow. The point is to understand the direction that Microsoft is moving. It's going to help you make smarter decisions now, knowing what's coming. So you'll notice in this section that Copilot has been moving more from answering questions to doing work. We're seeing more agentic experiences, more specialized agents, more model choices, more ways to keep Copilot grounded in your actual work, which is exciting. But it also means readiness matters. Governance matters, adoption matters, and honestly, knowing what not to turn on yet is just as important as knowing what's available. So this is where we're going to shift to keep where we see clients looking at the value and not just saying, can Copilot write an email or summarize something? It can help a seller prep and create for a customer conversation. It helps delivery teams summarize project risks and build a plan, and it can help that service team understand what's happening across cases without digging into 5 different systems. That is where the work starts to feel different. So the first thing is to understand Frontier. If you haven't heard from Frontier by now, you do not listen to Microsoft. Microsoft has been talking about the Frontier program, Frontier plan, Frontier company for multiple months, years now. So think of Frontier as Microsoft's early access path for some of the newest Copilot capabilities before they become generally available. You'll see it as Frontier, and then it'll be GA. So the real capabilities running inside Microsoft 365, but they're previews. The important thing for business leaders and IT leaders is this is not something every user just turns on individually. Frontier is enabled at the tenant level, and admins control access. That matters because this is where innovation and governance have to work together. You want your organization to learn what's coming, experiment with those use cases, and give feedback. But you also want to do that in a very intentional and secure way. So my guidance here is don't ignore Frontier and just wait for it. Don't treat it as a free-for-all either. Pick a small group of users who are curious, responsible, and close to the real business use cases. And I am going to highlight responsible so much right there. Let them test it, document what works, and help organizations understand where these capabilities could create value when they reach broader availability. We've done this internally with our own customer zero. We're testing the capabilities ourselves. We learn what changes day to day, and we turn on the lessons into something practical for clients. So that's the right posture for Frontier. Don't make it a playground, make it small, governed preview that you can focus on real scenarios that are going to support your business. One of the biggest examples of this is where Microsoft is headed is Microsoft Scout. Scout is being described as an autopilot agent, and that word is intentional. This is different from how most of us think about Copilot today. Today, most people open Copilot, ask a question, get an answer, and then decide what to do next. Scout is designed to be more proactive. It stays connected to your priorities and helps move forward across Microsoft 365. That is a big shift. It means the agent is not just responding to a single prompt. It has the persistent context, identity, and memory. It can understand how you work over time, help coordinate your day, prepare you for meetings, track commitments, and surface things that need attention. For busy teams, that is where AI starts to feel like another tool, less like another tool and more like a teammate that's helping you keep work moving. So something specific to us, if we are walking into a proposal conversation, instead of manually checking CRM, notes, threads, open issues, all of that, finding out what they cared about last time, we're gonna have Scout do all of that for us. So it's 100% can be the prompt. The difference is that this is proactively running. So specifically for me, every morning I have an update from Scout on all the calls I have for the day. It gives me an update, tells me what it is, what's going on, the risk, everything. Fantastic. I love it. The other thing I have, which is more of that autopilot, is the risk. So what I have Scout doing is checking on a very consistent basis to let me know if anything is moving in that risk stage. So unlike a prompt that you would have to remember to go in and prompt and set up, Scout's just always going. So if something happens, you hit a timeline, I haven't heard from them, and obviously I'm not going to remember that I haven't heard from them in 2 days, Scout is paying attention, and it will alert me and let me know that something's moving into risk factor. So then it's time for me to jump in and do it. So it's always watching, it's learning, it's doing those things. If I relied on a prompt, there's a good chance it's gone before I even realized that it was at risk. So that's one thing, one area. We do have some videos due to the time, and I want to make sure that I get through this. I'm going to skip the videos, but a great reason to request the slides at the end so that we can get these videos over to you as well. So the next one I want to talk about, Sharon just talked about Cowork. So what we hear a lot and what we're getting understanding for is, when do you use Microsoft 365 Copilot versus Cowork versus Scout? So you can see here, this is a really good visual on when you should use each of these. So if you're looking for something simple, you're requesting information, catching up on emails, I personally like to think of it as, if I need something quick, I'm going to use 365 Copilot. I'm just going to use Copilot to get it done. If I want something created, it's going to take multiple systems to review, pull information in, anything like that, I'm going to use Cowork. If I just want it to manage something like a personal assistant would, or like somebody sitting next to me going in and doing these things, that's when I use Scout. One thing that I do want to call out is, a lot of people are hesitant to use Cowork and Scout due to cost. And I might have another slide that talks about this. I don't remember, but I'm going to pull it up now and just talk about some things that I've been doing is creating in Cowork and then doing the editing and updating in 365 Copilot. That allows you to continually do it. A, it's quicker. B, you're not using those credits, because Cowork does use credits, just so you're aware. So that's a practical takeaway, to think about when to use and what technology. The legal agent in Word is new. It's a new direction that Microsoft is moving in. We've called this one out specifically, but it's one of so many agents that Microsoft is building out that are more domain specific. So instead of more of the general assistant trying, so one thing Sharon had talked about was agents in Word, agents in Excel, or the agent in there. That's just giving it a little bit more context, giving you more of that capability. This is more specific, the legal agent in Word. What this does is the value is not just speed, it's more consistency. So if your organization has approved language, standard positions, fallback clauses, those internal playbooks, these agents can help compare a contract against those standards and suggest edits. So much more specific. It can work with track changes, preserve negotiation history, provide citations. Anything that is important is still human in the loop process. I do want to be very clear here. This is not replacing attorneys or legal judgment. It's about reducing that manual review time, helping reviewers spot issues faster, and giving teams a more structured starting point. The professional still needs to review, approve, reject those changes and output. So that's the model we should expect to see more of, is those specialized agents that accelerate the workflow and keep accountability with the person or team responsible for the decision. Critique and counsel are two of my favorite examples because they address a very real challenge with AI output. How do we know whether the answer is good enough to use? Researcher is already designed for deeper research, but these features add another layer of confidence. With critique, one model creates the initial research output and the other model reviews it before final response is delivered. Think about it like building in a second reviewer to check for structure, completeness, accuracy, and citation quality. You need to review the results, but the system is doing more of a quality control check before it gets to you. With counsel, the same prompt runs across multiple models in parallel, and you can compare where they agree, where they disagree, and what each one adds. This is useful for higher stakes work where you want to pressure test the idea, validate a recommendation, or avoid over-relying on a single model's point of view. Practically, who has not taken the exact same prompt, went into Copilot, opened up ChatGPT separately, opened up Claude separately, and see what you get? This is now doing it for you in your own system. So you're keeping everything together. You're keeping it governed. You're keeping it across the technologies that you should within your Microsoft environment. So this is doing all of those things. Plus, it's doing it automatically instead of you having to go out and do it. So you're taking multiple steps in both security as well as taking steps out of what you would normally do. So I do want to show this video just because it is, sorry, I gotta move my thing here. We've got some good information here. Skip a little bit at the very beginning.
Dial turn on Model Council for very deep research and recommendations. A few moments after submitting my prompt, Copilot responds with questions to make sure it fully understands my needs. The next step can take quite some time to finish. It runs deep research on both GPT and Claude. When it's done, I can scroll down to see the overall recommendations and where the two AI models aligned and disagreed. I can also open either model up for a comprehensive report. Now I can walk into the meeting with instant expertise in the subject area.
So the only thing I wanted to call out there is just like my example where I'm putting it into each of these, this gives you the why, right? So I can put them in each of these, but I still don't know why each one is better. This is even giving you the why. So the next level of confirmation. Outlook is one of the places where agentic AI becomes very easy to understand. Most of us live in our inbox and calendar. So it's not just about drafting a better email, which it does. It's about Copilot helping manage the flow of communication and time. So in an agentic Outlook, Copilot can support multi-step inbox management, help draft and refine responses, create and manage those rules. On the calendar side, it can follow your preferences around RSVP. Help protect your focus time, flag when your work is overloaded or when you need preparation materials for important meetings. So this is one of the areas where I think adoption could happen quickly because the pain is so familiar. It's so real on a day-to-day basis. Everyone understands inbox overload. Everyone understands the frustration of context switching. So, but again, opportunity is not just automation. It's teaching Copilot your preferences and building trust over time. So Outlook is where it's moving, but one of the realistic examples here is infographics within notebooks. So what you can do and what you're seeing here is being able to put those prompts in and creating those realistic information across all the different areas. So you can easily see visually your project in the different stages. You can visually see the different areas of what you're working on. This is fantastic. I love the infographics. I personally am not an infographic creator. So it makes me feel more like my marketer who does an amazing job with creating these. I can have my notebook. I've got all of my information, create the infographic, and it'll put together a visual representation of all of the things I've tracked. So I'm not going to talk about what this thing is. So it's equals Copilot with parentheses function in Excel. So essentially what this is bringing it Copilot into Excel in a completely different way. So outside of having Copilot on the sidebar and asking questions and doing those different things, you now have this formula in the Excel that you can utilize. So a simple example would be taking a column of customer feedback and asking Copilot to classify sentiment, identify themes, or summarize key issues. For sales service operations or marketing teams, this makes AI feel so much closer to the work they're already doing. They do not have to become prompt engineers. They don't have to create, or they don't have to be formula engineers. They can work in Excel the way they always have, but with a new kind of formula available to make things easier for you. For us specifically, we do Copilot training in our proof of value program. We survey comments, AMA questions, and notes from show and tell sessions. In Excel, we can use this formula to help classify those open text responses into themes, like training clarity, role-based needs, governance concerns, or advanced user requests, instead of someone having to read and tagging every line manually of this positive, negative, or different categories. Cowork 1 is coming soon. So the key point here is cost and fit for purpose model selection. Not every task needs the most expensive and most powerful model. Some work needs speed, some work needs reasoning, some work needs creativity. And finally, some work is routine enough that a secure lower cost model makes more sense. Cowork 1 is described as a secure, fine-tuned model designed for cowork specific tasks. It's open source and Azure hosted, which matters for those enterprise security, compliance, and data residency. The broader takeaway is that organizations should expect more model choice, not less. Copilot is becoming a platform that can route work to the right model for the task while still operating inside Microsoft's enterprise boundary. A good example is weekly reporting, summarized project updates, or adoption check-ins. Those probably don't require the most expensive reasoning model. But if you're evaluating risk across a proposal, designing an AI governance model, or recommending a multi-phase roadmap to leadership, that's going to want something a little bit of a stronger model. I want to make sure that it is giving me the most accurate, detailed information. The goal is not the cheapest AI, it's the right model for the right job. Kind of goes back to the very beginning when I just threw out, when to use Cowork versus M365 versus Scout. This does it within Cowork itself. So you have those different areas even within that. For leaders, this is where cost management becomes part of that AI strategy. As usage expands, you'll want to understand which workloads justify premium reasoning, which workloads can be handled by lower cost models. It's a very normal maturity step. In the beginning, the question is, can or how will AI help us? Over time, it's how do we scale this responsibly and cost effectively? So I've got these two slides. I'm not going to go through each of these, but I do want to call out that, whoa, these just went without me moving. I just want to call out that there is so much more coming. We could not possibly put everything more coming into a 1-hour presentation. There's a lot of things here. I think this is giving us about 1 out of 12 pages that I saw on the roadmap of what's coming out, and that's just in the next 6 months. So there's so many things that are coming. There's so many things that are getting developed or enhanced or adding more features and functionality across all of these. So I just want to make sure that we are keeping track of these so that you don't. So what's now? My slides keep on moving anyway. So we'll just move on. Next steps are follow the roadmap. Just like I mentioned, there's a lot on there. There's a lot to see. We specifically follow it very detailed. I actually have Scout tracking it for me daily. So it gives me an update of all the things that have updated, what's coming out, what's new. And it's just telling me the things that I need to pay attention to. So I love watching the roadmap. I love to see what's coming out new. Copilot's changing. The roadmap is the best place to understand what it is. Second, book a consultation with us. If you need or want help figuring out where you're at, what you want to go to, or what's the next step should be, let us know. This could mean assessing your AI maturity, identifying practical pilots, improving adoption, or figuring out how agents and Copilot fit into your business processes. For one client, the first win may be helping sellers prepare for account meetings. For another, it may be removing manual rekeying from compliance process. For another, it may be creating a better knowledge base so users can find trusted answers. The right path depends on where your friction is highest and where the business value is easiest to prove. The third is download our AI transformation playbook. We have a QR code here that you can scan. Feel free to scan with your phone, or if you just want to take a screenshot quick, otherwise we'll send you the deck and you'll have it there so you can see it. Take a look at our website. It will pop up and you can find it. And with that, I'm going to pass it back to Haley.
Thanks, Tracy. Wow, I'm like impressed that we got through all of that.
Talked really fast.
We had a lot of good chatter in the Q&A section as well. But before we hop in here, I just wanted everybody to know about Community Summit North America in Nashville this October from the 11th to the 15th. It's a great conference to stay up to date on tools like Microsoft 365 Copilot and what's coming next in the Microsoft ecosystem. We will be there as speakers, and we are sharing this discount code C5 Insight 15 to make it easier for you to join us. So with only about 5 minutes left here, Chris asked, you mentioned the need to ensure that agents are rooted in the right data, owned and updated. Do you find that organizations are letting individual users create Copilot agents as the users see fit, or are organizations going with a more center of excellence approach that creates and pushes out agents to the users? And I want to thank Jeff Abels, who is also here from C5 Insight, for answering some of these in the chat, but I thought that was a good question to surface for the group here.
Absolutely. And Jeff's right. So we do see different approaches. It just depends on what you are, how comfortable you are, really. So working with us, we've done it for many of our clients, is creating a center of excellence to enable users manage that, making sure that it is handled and you've got the support and maintenance needed. And then some of them are really just taking that very small group of IT members. It's coming, and Jeff's right, it is becoming more clear that you're going to have a COE regardless. Copilot AI is changing just too much. In the past, as you are developing and installing and implementing new technologies, you could follow the, build those plans, build a roadmap, look for the next few years, and have a good idea on that implementation, training, and consistently moving. You can't build a 3-year plan with AI. I mean, you can build for the next few months, you can build for the next 6 to 12 months. You can look at your internal and you can look at that. But at the end of the day, it's constantly training. You're going to be constantly looking to build strategy of the new things coming out. You're going to be constantly looking at new training and updating, looking at the past training to make sure that it is working for your individuals. Because AI is going to work differently for everyone in how they work in their different tools. So that center of excellence to continually monitor, update, govern both the usage, the creation, and your data is going to be incredibly important as you move into your AI transformation.
Thanks for that. Okay, and with that, I think we'll go ahead and end a few minutes early. We did have several questions about receiving the recording and the slides. For those of you who wanted links to the demos, I've written down your name so that I will send you a copy of today's slides. There's also a link, c5in.co/slides, if you'd like to request a copy of today's slides. Otherwise, everyone will receive a copy of the recording tomorrow. So thanks again for joining us, and we hope to see you at our next webinar coming up soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.